The podcast crew hop, skip and jump into a celebration of all things platforming as Astrobot arrives on PS5. We dive into his new adventure, reveal some juicy developer secrets, and pick some games for the Platforming Hall of Fame. All in today's episode of the PlayStation Access Podcast. Hello and welcome to the PlayStation Access Podcast, the official podcast of PlayStation UK. I am Rob Pearson, your host. Joining us today, we have Rosie Caddick.
Hello, everyone.
And Amy Mallet.
Hello.
And we are joined together today in celebration because Astrobot is here.
Finally!
It's on PS5. It's arrived.
Yes!
We are going to be celebrating all things Astro, all things platformers. Rosie, you have 100% completed the game and got the Platinum Trophy.
I have.
Blimey, don't mess about, does she?
No, I was like, it was actually, though, it was a really great fun experience because, you know, we were very privileged that we get to cover these games. We get to play them before their release. And it was so refreshing to look at a platinum list and try and figure things out myself again rather than give it a shot and then being like, oh, I'll look up a guide. I was like, there
absolutely.
was two that I was stumped on, but I was really like, I spent a good couple of hours being like, no, I can figure this
Do you
out.
look up guides usually for your Platinum Trophies?
No, not a lot, but it's when there's one that I just do not understand how to get like at all, or if they say like, get all 200 of these little tiny items.
No,
and
you
then
may
I'm
come in
like,
contact with me,
Yeah,
Rob
interesting.
Pearson.
Interesting. Yeah,
you all look up guides as well.
I'm similar
I
to
think
you.
if you've looked up a guide, I'm not sure it's a legitimate platinum.
No, it's not like you got.
I'm
It's not like you got
joking.
Cookie Monster
I'm
to do it for
joking.
you, is
yeah, I
it?
didn't get anyone to do it for
I'm
me.
joking. Anyway, Astrobot, that's what we're here to talk about. Amy, also, we're going to come to you in a
Yes.
sec because you have been to Team Asobi's actual office recently,
Actual development studio in Japan.
which you are going to tell us all about
Yes.
in a sec. But I think we need to just start it off by talking about the game. I'm coming to you, Rosie.
Yes.
Just get it out. Get
Oh
it
my
out,
gosh.
please.
Unleash.
Yeah.
Congrats on your platinum, Rosie. I think it's legitimate.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you very much. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved it to absolute pieces. I couldn't put it down. I was so happy playing it. I played it in the office on the first day, and I literally sat here, and I think Nathan came up and I said, I'm about to cry. I was like, I'm so happy. And what the game does to celebrate PlayStation as well as platformers is just all fantastic and wonderful. There were so many moments where I gasped at who I saw a reference to and who was getting their little stand in the PlayStation Lite and things like that. And it was just all absolutely wonderful. I was surprised. I was joyful. I was laughing because it's a really funny game as well. Some things are really
the comedy
brilliant.
really lands.
Yeah, really lands. And you can tell that they've just taken so many bits of inspiration from other platformers throughout the years. Like, I even thought about it in the shower this morning because, I'm just thinking about Astrobot 24/7 at the moment.
This game is a bit of you, isn't it? It really is.
This game, you know the thing, I think it was from is it from the manga Berserk or something? But they say this hole is made for me or something. I'm like, this game is made for me.
And I shall crawl in it.
Like it's made for me. But when I was just thinking about this game, I thought, God, even the fact that when you find a bot and they've got a title and then a subtext underneath, I was like, God, that's quite similar to Ape Escape, where you can scan a monkey and then they've got a name and then a funny little joke underneath it as well. I was like, oh my God, it's just so good. It brings in together so many things. And as a platformer as well, it's just absolutely fantastic. It's just, it's got the lovely platforming joy that you get throughout platformers. It's got the charm that they all bring as well. And also, I was very happy that they do have some more difficult challenges as well within there. Because, you do the main levels, which are just absolutely fun and a wonderful time. Yeah. And, the enemies, sometimes you can just get the timing wrong and then they just squash you or something like that.
Yes.
But, I was after a bit of my demonic mind was like, I want something that might make me scream, but feel so satisfying when I've done it. And they did have then the little symbol platforming challenges, which some of them definitely made me go, I know what I've got to do. I've just got to calm down, I'll have a glass of water, and then I'll come back. And then when I came back, that's when I did a lot better with it as well. So to me, it just felt like it had so many elements that were just right, and just the joyful, gleeful energy that it brings. I just think it's something that we all just need and want right now, maybe without even realizing it. But as I was playing it, I was just like, oh my God, everything just seems better.
Yeah, every single person who's played it so far has just said it puts a massive smile on their face.
Yeah.
It's just euphoric. Like, it is a celebration of all things PlayStation. It's a love letter to PlayStation culture, particularly to great platformers, which is kind of the pedigree of PlayStation in the 90s when we were growing up. And it's interesting you say about Ape Escape as well. There's lots of things it seems to have drawn from other really iconic platformers.
Yeah.
But one of the things, it's interesting you say about the difficulty. I wasn't sure how in a bigger, longer experience they would get that difficulty curve. You know, would they make it more challenging? Because one of the things the studio is so sort of interested in is how accessible it is, how beautifully colourful and vibrant, and it attracts a huge range of players. Like, it's designed for younger players, but also for sort of players that are more casual. Like, did you find that the difficulties were kind of a welcome balance? I mean, I guess, is it time trial stuff? Or?
I thought it was a really welcome balance, because I think the main thing that this game does and promotes is that it's for the whole family.
Yes, and they were very keen to push that.
Very keen to push that. And like, I think that's just something that, again, like, it's just something we all need. Like, I can't recall a game that was just so encouraging of playing with your family. So no matter, you know, your level of skill with playing video games or your experience with even, like, you know, the history of PlayStation and stuff like that, literally everyone can enjoy this.
Yeah.
And even Rob, in our video, when you were saying that your daughter it was her first time getting really invested in like conquering challenges and platformers, it's like when we were kids, we all did that as well.
I could see it happening when she played it. Like, she's 8, and typically, if something difficult happens in a video game, it's like, Daddy, can you come and do this bit for me? But she was trying it in Astro, and she's played through all of the levels in the Gorilla Nebula at the beginning. Some of which are like Construction Derby's quite a challenging platforming level towards the end, when you've got that dog power up and you're rocketing through glass panes. And she was doing it, and she was like, I could see her being tentative about it. It's like, oh, I don't know how to beat the spiky boys. Oh, there's one of those big goo spitting ones. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? But seeing her like conquering it after 2 or 3 attempts, and how excited she was about rescuing bots, and like, there are, you know, she knows about Spyro, and she knows about Crash Bandicoot, and, you know, so she got a little bit of a thrill when she rescued certain bots. But just the, you know, there are a lot of references in the game that she won't get simply because she's not old enough to have played all of these games before. But just to see her still loving it from a purely platforming gameplay perspective was amazing. And it was an amazing experience just watching her play. And it's probably the best instance I've had of a game that I've been able to play with my daughter. We just sort of like pass the pad, and you do a bit, I'll do a bit, and it was amazing to see.
Exactly. It just feels that you know, I can't recall a game that really has encouraged that family interaction. But it's not only that as well, but even if you're someone who is more experienced with games, you can play it and still, like you said, just get the joy in your face.
Just unbridled joy. The
secrets, like, I'm someone who, if I missed a secret, when it came to the portals that you can find, I was like, okay, no, I'll come back to this in a bit. But if I missed a bot, I was like, no, I'm going straight back in that level. No bot is getting left behind. But even, so there were even some secrets and stuff. And I have had messages from like Alex as well, and he was like, I cannot find the secret portal. Where is it? So when you're talking about the difficulty level as well, there really is something for everyone.
And they've scaled it really well, haven't they, for every type of gamer.
Scaled it beautifully. And you know, when you do find the things, you feel so rewarded. And also just in general, like from someone who, as we all have, grown up with PlayStation, I haven't felt so rewarded for, you know, being with PlayStation for all of its generations and history and stuff, because of everything they reference. Even like the bots that you get with the PlayStation reference bots, they like the subtext and stuff references things that might have been a meme at the time or a joke at the time.
That's a lovely way of thinking about it as well.
Yeah,
it's a reward for long-time PlayStation fans.
Yeah.
It's the coming together of PlayStation nostalgia. This is the ultimate celebration of PlayStation nostalgia for us.
Exactly. Like some of the references they were pulling were like, they could have been quotes from a game that everyone was quoting at the time and still do today, or they could have been an action that they did. I remember there was one, I don't want to say it because of spoilers and things like that, but there was one I was just like, I remember this being a huge meme on social media when it happened, and they've just popped it in the game. And I spoke to Secret Boss about this yesterday, and he immediately was like, yeah, it's very well observed. It's every single little detail they've done is so well observed. You really feel like, again, like, well done, Team Asobi. Like, you've smashed it.
It takes a lot to be self-referential and to not be smug, to kind of take the mickey a little bit out of, you know, yourself. It's beautifully self-aware. I think that's what I really like about it, is that you're in on the references, you're in on the jokes, and it would be so easy for it to feel sort of, you know, almost a bit contrived to kind of get these characters in, get these references in.
Yeah.
But Astro is so adorable, and the worlds are so rich, and it almost makes sense for all of these kind of characters to be coming in this way.
Yeah.
It's so, it's beautifully, it's self-referential, but in a great way. I don't think I've ever known another game do it like that.
It's so good. And when you were saying about like, sometimes it makes sense for things to appear when they do, like whenever I went into one of the spooky themed ones, you know, where it's like, oh, there's a haunted mansion or that kind of thing, I was immediately like, I wonder if this bot's going to be here or if this reference going to be made.
Yeah.
And a couple of times, yes, they were there then. And I was like, yes, I had a feeling they would. And then they dropped in a surprise. And I was like, I didn't know you were going to pull this trick, but I love you for it. And also just in general, the gadgets throughout the game are so much fun. Like the mouse and the time stopping one, they were my two favorites in the game. And it visually just looks absolutely stunning.
I'm not even sure if I've seen those ones. Yeah, I've seen Sponge. I've seen SpongeBot.
Oh, Sponge is great fun as well. Sponge is like so much fun to use and stuff.
Sponge.
Yes,
Sponge, mouse and dog. And
Sponge, mouse,
balloon.
dog. Yeah, balloon. Monkey as well.
I just like the noise I just like the deflating balloon noise.
Yeah,
because I'm childish and it's funny. Just constantly just up and all the time.
I did do that as well. I won't lie.
Also, the water graphics, flipping out, they're good, aren't they?
Yeah.
I was waiting to see if you'd notice.
There's the archipelago, Go Archipelago level, I think it's called. Oh, I spent about 10 minutes just mucking around on the beach.
Yeah.
Just, look at this dolphin. Look at
these
look at this
turtles.
turtle. Look at these enemies with their little beach rubber rings on. Oh, it's great.
I always liked as well, every now and then, if I was Astro swimming on like the surface of the water, I'd turn the camera because he looks so happy swimming in the water.
Oh,
he looks so happy and just he's loving the water so much. And I loved it as well when you came out the water and you can see the water like shining on his body coat and like the blue texture on him was slightly darker because you know when something's wet it just tends to get a little bit darker. That's science. And
things get darker when wetter. That's
exactly. And like seeing the tiny little visual details such as that, I was like, oh, the water was especially very, very beautiful to be involved with.
I want to talk about the crash site as well because that acts as like the hub area in the game. So all of the bots you rescue, all of the items you unlock throughout the game, much like the PlayStation Center area in Astro's Playroom, it just becomes an area that just increasingly fills with joy as you proceed through the game. And I just love, you know, there's a very one-dimensional thrill, isn't there, as a PlayStation fan, in seeing all of a collection of the things you have loved over a 30-odd year period, all just coming together in this one celebratory place.
Yeah.
And I really like when you have to do something like, you know, you need 40 bots to cross this chasm, and so you will call 40 bots, and whichever 40 bots happen to just be closer will come over. And so you get like an amazing mishmash of... I don't know, because I don't want to spoil all the bots that are in it.
Different
but
characters.
You've got like that character from that game, this character from that game, like holding hands as they form like a bridge over this chasm for you to like tiptoe across. And you're tiptoe crossing all their little happy faces. Oh, hello. And it's like, you know.
They really don't mind as he treads on all their faces.
It's just something as simple as that. Everything is fun. Like they've thought about every single moment. There's no lull in anything. You're always playing with something new or poking something, and the haptics are amazing.
Oh,
like
so
it's constantly
good.
just feeling stuff. It's like a sensory toy box, really, isn't it? It's just like, here, feel this balloon stuff.
My favorite was
Unzip
when you went over the spikes, like that, when it was just like I love.
Oh, so you feel the uneven surface, like
Yeah, like when there's
underneath.
spikes, it feels like as if you are like something metallic rolling over spikes.
Oh my
like
word. That's incredible.
You know, sometimes
Yeah,
I
that's
just
really
roll
cool.
in a circle just to be like.
The bit that blew my mind, and this still continues to blow my mind. I was explaining this to my mum at the weekend. That's how much this blew my mind. It's not a gamer at all, but I was like, even she can understand how clever this is. When you get near certain walls, Astro will put his little hands out.
Yes.
And you can actually move down wall surfaces, and the haptics will let you know when there's a shortcut or a secret. So you're feeling a wall for a shortcut, basically, and you're like just keeping sort of mindful of the little sensations inside the DualSense to figure out where that is.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't believe that. I wanted to put my hands on everything that I went to.
everything.
Obviously, there's certain walls that have markings on them, but yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't know this either, but I found out when I was at the studio tour that Astro can sneak in this game. We've seen him sneaking in a few trailers. If you push very, very gently on the analog stick, he will like do a comical little cartoon sneak. But if you sneak over surfaces that you'd usually break with your little jet boots, he won't break them.
Yeah.
It's just a respect for physics in a game. I just love it.
Which in some of those platforming challenges, when you told me that, I had like flashbacks of how often I was just like, you know, powering forward because I was
Yeah.
like, the surface is breaking behind me, I've got to go.
Yeah,
and I
but
was
if
like,
you just snuck across it,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have broken it.
yeah, because the challenges weren't timed or anything. I could have literally just been like, I'm gonna sneak over the glass, and instead I was like, no, go, 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 go.
Yeah,
So-
but there's usually
Yeah.
an enemy on the glass as well,
Yeah.
isn't there? So you can't hang about.
you can't hang out too much.
Before we get on to your trip to Team Asobi, Amy, Rosie, I just want to ask you, what's been, if you had to pick one standout moment from your time with Astrobot, what's the thing that surprised you the most or brought you the most joy?
Oh,
There'll be a couple.
There's so many things, Rob.
Just pick one.
No, but I can't pick one. Can I say three?
Fine.
Can I say three?
Three quick ones.
Okay, three quick ones. One, just to summarize, the love for Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah.
That's made me incredibly happy. Two, the first like special level, let's say. So we've seen, for example, the Astro dressed up as Kratos in trailers and things
Yep.
like that. But the first example of that had me very, very happy and screaming that, again, it got acknowledged and in such, like, it had its own platform. I was like, I never thought this day would come. Same with Parappa Bot. I was like, I never thought this would happen. And then also there's one bot that you rescue in, like, one of the symbol platforming challenges, but when you start them, you see them have a little wave and then a UFO picks them up. And when I saw them, I fully was like fully gasped out of pure joy and excitement. And so those are probably the three instances where I was like, you know, like I was just so happy.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you as well about what PlayStation reference surprised you the most. I feel like you have sort of answered it in a way that avoids spoiling what it is.
Yeah.
Which I think, you know, part of the thrill of this game is getting to enjoy all these surprises and characters that you might not necessarily have thought would be in the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we won't spoil. But
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you have already played through the first special level, shall we say, after you defeat the boss, you typically get to play a special level. So the first one, if you know what Rosie likes and you've played it, you can imagine.
Yeah.
You can imagine how excited Rosie was. I was
Yes.
excited for you when I got to that bit, Rosie. I was
I
like,
know.
oh my God, Rosie's going to have loved this bit. Unbelievably so.
And I blooming did. And with like Parappa Bot, when I say like the celebration, how much they love Parappa, it's like when he's in the crash site, he goes, I got a balloon. And I was just like, I was so happy. And Parappa Bot looks great and I love him very much.
It's such a unique experience for us as fans of all these games. Everyone is going to have their favourite reference that they're going to come across and they're going to be like, oh my God, it's so and so. And then it comes with a unique set of in-jokes that only you are going to get as well.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
I mean, there's a level very early on in the game that contains some bots that I was not expecting to see, that I was very excited to see. I'm going to shout out to one of my favourite bespoke animations though, and it's the Jack and Daxter bot when you go to the crash site.
Yes.
Their little bespoke animation, it stacks. They're doing the little CPR on Jack and like slapping him across the face. And it's so good.
They've nailed the pose as well. Even
The
like when they're
poses,
just standing, I was like, this is reminded me of like the first PS2 Jak and Daxter cover. Like that sort of like confidence and
The attention to details incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Everyone loves it. What a lovely, joyful game.
Oh, I love it so much.
So, Amy, we're all very jealous. You've been to Team Asobi in Japan.
In Tokyo.
And you were telling me earlier about some really interesting, like, behind-the-scenes facts.
Yeah.
So please do let us know. But I in particular, want you to tell the thing you told me about the haptic feedback.
The haptic thing is the thing that's blown my mind
Yeah.
the most. I'll go through a few things that I think you guys will find really interesting. So, and I've been keeping this all to myself because obviously now we can finally let this stuff out in the wild. But the first thing that blew my mind, Team Asobi's office in Japan has the mural from Astro's Playroom, you know, the huge one that goes around the PlayStation Labo that you collect the puzzle pieces for.
Yeah.
To kind of that actually exists. That's in Asobi's office.
Oh my God.
Like around the wall of like this little area where there's all this seating and stuff. It's so cool because that's something that like, I don't know, exists in digital space. So for that to be real kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, that feels like it's transcended from like my imagination into reality. We also got to spend some time with a level designer who was able to do a little bit of magic on one side of his screen, kind of dropping in flowers, enemies, rocks, you know, platforming elements. And then we saw it kind of landing in Astro in-engine in real time. That was incredible. Absolute wizardry. Kind of made me think, oh my God, I'd really like to do that. Like, I'd love to learn. I mean, this stuff takes years to learn.
Wow, making a game is so easy.
Isn't it so easy? It's
just type in
flowers
rock.
and then flowers grow on a rock. That was really cool. We got to see some amazing concept art for Astro. We got to see some really awesome early bits of footage of things like the octopus fight, for example. The boxing kind of octopus. I'm not sure if it's an octopus or a squid. Is it a squid?
I'd say it's an octopus.
It's the fight where it splits the ocean. We got to see that in sort of very, very early play testing where not all of the sheen had kind of been put on it yet, but you could see how powerful the gameplay mechanics were. And Astro himself was still kind of like his usual good-looking, caped self, but it was quite interesting to see how all of those other elements got glossed up once they'd nailed the gameplay. It's gameplay first for Asobi. They always want everything to have, obviously the haptics are a big part of it, but also it needs to feel challenging. Every boss fight needs to feel like a spectacle. The music needs to go incredibly hard. All of that stuff kind of comes together, then they put the polish on top. So there's a lot of great behind the scenes stuff there. The haptics that Rob is referencing is what really blew my mind. So we got to see a programming aspect of the DualSense controller, how they design the sensations that the player feels. A lot of this is a sort of gross oversimplification. There's going to be lots of other complex elements besides. But one of the main ways they design haptic feedback is through sound. So they had a program where we could see a sponge that had been rendered in engine. So a standard like sponge, I think it was actually a washing up sponge, like the one that has the kind of scourer on one side.
Oh yeah.
And the player was, the inputs on the controller were squeezing the sponge. You could also toggle features like having it full of water, for example, which obviously changes how it feels. And every time the sponge was squeezed, it would generate a sound wave. And the amplitude of that sound wave was kind of programmed back into the controller so that the controller would kind of, the programmers, I guess, would know how much force and sensation needed to be put into the controller based on the sound. If you think about squeezing something, like if I squeeze this pillow right now, it's generating sound based on how much force I'm exerting on it. So if you had, you know, a trampoline was something else that we saw Astro bouncing up and down on a trampoline. They could mess with that surface to make it less bouncy, so firmer, harder, or maybe more elastic, and therefore he'd shoot up and down really far. That's all then programmed and fed back based on the sound waves of how sort of stretchy and yoing it goes to kind of show where the tension should be fed into the controller.
Wow.
So it was madness to see that because there's just this guy sort of squeezing a sponge and all of these sound waves are kind of going back in, and obviously the bigger the amplitude, the more force has been exerted, and you can sort of program the physics of how well it how it should feel to kind of pull back an adaptive trigger, something like a bow, how it should feel feel to kind of like be walking on different surfaces. That was really something.
Oh my gosh.
I was absolutely amazed by that because it still feels like wizardry for me. And like I say, there's a lot of elements that are sort of way more complicated beyond that. But the fact that they were just showing different materials that they were dropping in, being sort of like manipulated to generate the sound that then became the haptic feedback is just really clever. I thought that was awesome.
Oh my God. And is that like tiny attention to detail as well? Even listening to your story, I was here thinking, I love Team Asobi.
Yeah.
They're so good.
They were just, they're just a lovely bunch of people. They're so nice. And play is very much at the heart of everything that they do. One of the really cool features in the office is this huge wall of Post-it notes. And written on every single Post-it note is a power-up idea that someone's had. So every time anyone thinks of an idea for a power-up during development for Astrobot, they scribble it down and stick it to a wall. And it becomes this huge, and they've sort of like got this big wall of ideas that the director will come around and look at and go, oh yeah, that's brilliant, let's try that. It's also a very open studio. Like they were saying that their philosophy is that we're all players, so it doesn't matter if you work in sound design or if you work in animation, you should still have the right to kind of feedback on the game's process because you are a player at the end of the day. And if you think that a level is too challenging or you think that something, might not necessarily be working as a power-up, doesn't matter what department you work in, you should be able to feed that back in. And people take that on board and then it kind of goes through necessary workshopping and stuff. But it was fantastic.
That's
stuff.
fantastic,
really cool.
though.
The animators were amazing as well. I met the lady who animated all 70 or 77 of the wildlife in the game. Like imagine that being your job. Imagine just going to work and animating Astrobot wildlife, like designing, obviously the art team will have made like a hippo or a cow or there's a dragon, I think, as well at one point that you see. But all of that is just being animated. And animation was actually a really interesting part of the tour as well. I learned that Astro has so many different idle animations that play out based on the scenario that he's in. So if Astro goes into a level and there are bots that still need rescuing, he will actively search for them. He'll put his little hand up and he'll scour for them. If he goes into a level and the bots have already been found, he'll relax, he'll chill. When he's idle, he'll just get his little gamepad out and he'll play around with it. And it's all those little, like they thought about all the special bots, all that you're saying about Jack and Daxter, how they pose, how Kratos sort of behaves, not only if you kind of like physically obviously smack him, because that's the way you engage with anything in Astrobot, isn't it? You hit it. But also just how he behaves kind of sitting around idling. All of those were so carefully crafted. It's kind of made me excited just to see all the different animations that the characters do when they're idle. It's exceptional stuff. Really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Was there anything else from your trip, Amy? I just want to know all the fun facts.
Yeah, I mean, so Astrobot was one thing I did learn was Astrobot was originally called Captain Astro. Because we got to see almost like a brief history of the character because he was built from the little VR men that was like a kind of application that was in PlayStation 4. So originally he was just a white, nondescript looking, almost like a slightly fleshed out stick man.
Yeah.
And there's actually, I'm pretty sure it was a Jimmy Kimmel episode or late night talk show skit where they actually used Astrobot. So he's been famous for a while. Like he's been on TV and they're sort of showing like, when it's just a kind of like VR man demo to sort of see how these little men go, ooh, and ee, and sort of like you can basically pretend to suck them back into your controller.
Yeah.
You can fire them out and you can see how some of these mechanics have become the eventual mechanic that's featured in something like Astro's Playroom or Astrobot. The fact that you flick the little VR men off of the touchpad of the controller and they land. That's something that you do at the start of Astro's Playroom, isn't it? You flick him out of the controller and he kind of bursts out. So we got to see a lot of the different tech demos of Astrobot that eventually led to his debut in Astrobot Rescue Mission in VR. And yeah, he was called Captain Astro because he was originally just a design that had the cape. All the others just had, as you know from the game, all the other bots are just sort of bots, just robots with no real discerning features.
They're just naked.
They're just naked bots, but he had the cape and he had the little stripes and that was a character that they kept returning back to. So yeah, for a while he was nicknamed Captain Astro and then he became Astrobot. In the code of the game, he's just called Hero, which the director said is really funny because people just keep talking about Hero and he's like, who's Hero? And then he's like, oh, Astrobot, of course. But he's got such personality and such character and they, through the sounds that he makes and through sort of like the animation team, really, I just can't sing their praises enough. That is so it's so incredible that they can make him so expressive when you think he doesn't even really have a face. He's just a pair of eyes.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, but they've managed to, it's a combination of sort of sound and his body language that kind of gives him those sort of like unique emotes, and he is adorable. Like the team love him, and I think that's a really big part of it.
Yeah.
Is that they adore him. I got to see a couple of spoilers, which I won't say. So things that happen sort of more towards the end of the game, which I won't mention. We obviously know now that you can play as Kratos Bot. So that's something that was revealed recently in the launch trailer. So even us talking about it, having played with the game, I think is fine now. But adopting, I don't know what the other powers Astro will get, but adopting those powers is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I think, that feels incredible to wield the Leviathan axe. I'm so glad they did that, because I think, there's so many power-up options. I know in terms of boss fights, you've been talking about some of the ones that you've got to. I'm not even that far through the game yet, so I almost don't want to know any more about the boss fights.
Yeah.
But they were talking about what makes a great boss fight. So according to the director, it's all to do with the music score is a huge part of it. The music has to be absolutely on point for a boss fight to really elevate the tension. The sound effects, the destruction, the big grandiose set pieces.
The gorilla, like with its giant teeth, like slamming down on the arena, and then you see these absolutely huge teeth, and then you're like, I'm going to start hitting those. Like, so when you're like already that they are big and grand in themselves, like the actual fights when they slam things down and then you have to jump and platform over the obstacles. But the actual bosses, I think it's a really great thing that they've made them so big, because it's not only then is the actual like fight itself grand, but also even more grand with the actual boss and then what they do with their design to make it even grander.
Yeah, absolutely. I also learned as well, something that really fascinated me was that they were very unsure at first about how high the camera was above Astro's head, because he's sort of looking, almost like looking down on him a little bit as he sort of runs forward. It's not a sort of, I don't know, the way the camera was positioned, they were a little bit unsure of, and I can't remember exactly why that was, but I think in platforming games, it could be sort of maybe situated a bit further back. They were doing lots of playing around with how the camera angle felt. And it was actually one of the members of the team at Media Molecule that said, actually, that's a really unique thing. Like, that's something that plays really, really well into his kind of like almost adorable little stature that you're almost looking over his head. And the jet boots, the little jet feet that he has, they were added in separately so that, again, with platforming elements, you could see where Astro is at all times.
Yeah.
Because normally in a platformer, you're looking for the shadow to make sure you're going to land that jump. Same with Crash Bandicoot, same with Spyro. But the little jet feet really helped to kind of like pinpoint where the character position is.
The laser legs, as we call
The
them.
laser legs,
legs
helped again with that camera. But yeah, it's just it's really fascinating. And they were all such lovely people. Thank you so much for having me. It was great. I got a little t-shirt.
Thank you for taking care of Amy, Team Asobi.
Yeah, it was great. It's my first time in Japan as well. And obviously that is in itself just like a absolutely mind-blowing experience. So
I think it's quite clear that this is a game that has been made by people who have grown up with and love PlayStation as much as all of us have as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just drips from every single pixel, the love and the reverence.
Yeah.
And it is just, they
Yeah.
often say, don't they, if you want to improve your mental health, just smile, because it'll smiling all the time just like makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
And after an hour or so of playing Astrobot, I'm always in just a great mood.
Yeah.
Because I've spent the whole time just laughing and giggling and smiling. It is amazing.
the comedy in it is amazing. That was another thing that they mentioned on the tour, is that comedy they think is one of the biggest connections between humans, and they really wanted to bring the comedy into the game, and that's kind of why they sort of lay on that self-referential in jokes nature, because they know that that's something that's going to bring a lot of gamers together.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that.
Their ethos is really on par, I think, with what we see as fans.
Yeah.
Talking about celebrating PlayStation history and culture, and all of the references in Astrobot to games past, I thought it would be fun to each Astro, I think we would all agree, goes in the PlayStation Platformers Hall of Fame.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we should just go around and each add another character or game to the PlayStation Platforming Hall of Fame. It's an episode that's celebrating platforming, I think, as much
absolutely.
as Astro.
Yeah, of course.
I can see Rosie like,
Rosie's got about 8.
Rosie can't pick just one.
I was waiting till you said.
You've got to pick just one.
It's hard.
Do you want us to come to you last, Rosie?
Yeah.
What if we accidentally
Yeah,
say
if you
one
say-
that you like?
Exactly. If you say
Yeah.
one, then I've got backups and stuff like that.
All right.
So
Yeah.
all right, you guys go first.
I was torn between because I figured the big 2 will be one of the 2 that Rosie will say. So I didn't go for the big 2 that everyone thinks of. I actually went for I was torn between Croc, Legend of the Gobbos.
Croc is a legend.
Croc is a legend, and I loved Croc as a kid. But there was another game.
We should do a quiz. We should do a quiz where
Yes.
Rosie does the sound effects of various platforming characters, and we have to guess who it is.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We'll do that at the end, Rosie.
We'll do that at the
think-
end.
you
Please.
think
Oh my
that?
God. Oh my
Hold that thought. Yeah, and it's an audio medium. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, but the one that sticks in my head.
I can see just right. You
Just
can't.
going
If
through
you're
it.
just listening to this podcast, you can't see the panic on Rosie's face.
Literally, I'm
Rosie,
gonna grab my phone.
this is just
I'm
going to be a
gonna
bit
like-
of fun, Rosie.
I
Just
know,
a bit
but
of fun.
I know I need to process all the platformers.
All right.
Okay, you think about the platformers. Croc is a big one for me. My favourite platformer of all time is actually a really obscure one. I fell in love. It was one of the first games I ever played on my PlayStation 1. And one of the only games I think that I ever fully completed, because I think when you're really young, when you're like sort of 6, 7, you dip in and out of games
Yeah.
and you don't have the same attention span. And it was 40 Winks.
I was going to.
40
I
Winks, yeah.
loved 40 Winks so much. Me and my brother used to play it all the time. The cinematic cutscenes, like they were FMVs at the
Yeah.
time. They were brilliant. You'd got this really grumpy old man named Nightcap who really wanted to get a good night's sleep and couldn't. And
That's all he wants.
All he wants in the world is a good night's sleep.
It's
and
just
he
a very
lives-
frustrated developer, just very tired. Like,
Ah.
and it's all just coming out in the game.
all coming out in the game.
I just want to go to sleep.
Just want to bed. And it turned out that his plan, he realised that if he couldn't get a good night's sleep, no one else could either. So he kidnapped all of the good dreams, which are called winks, and unleashed a load of hoodwinks on the world. And hoodwinks are obviously the nightmares. And you played as 2 little brother and sister, rough and tumble. You
Yeah.
could choose who you played as. And you went through individual nightmare worlds. And very similarly to Astrobot, you got power-ups. You were able to, because it was all meant to be about children's dreams and imagination, you could turn into an astronaut. You could turn into, I think one of them was like a dinosaur. You could turn into a knight, like a medieval knight, and you've got all these different power-ups. But yeah, every single world, there was haunted houses, there were dinosaur prehistoric lands, there was a space station, there was an underwater world. It was brilliant. It was so good. And one of my earliest memories of gaming. I loved it so
I remember
much.
playing it on a demo disc, and I also played Kingsley's Adventure on a demo disc.
Kingsley,
Yeah.
I played
yes.
Kingsley's Adventure, maybe a bit less of a platformer and more of a like an action
Yes.
puzzler.
Yeah.
But there are so many games from that period that I think fall into that category. Medieval, I'd probably put in there as well.
Medieval's great.
Not
Yep.
like a classic platformer, I
Yeah.
guess,
He
but like,
has risen again.
but there's definitely platforming elements in
Yeah.
there, and
Sir
it just
Daniel
encapsulates.
Fortescue.
Rosie knows all the
off.
voices for all of them.
Do you remember in 40 Winks? Did you play 40 Winks?
I played a bit of it.
The clock, like that. You know how sometimes a sound effect will live in your mind for like your entire life, and you can conjure it instantly. Like it's not a slog to remember what that sounds like. The clock that you saved your game with, who was kind of like an anthropomorphized clock with a face, like he would go.
No, I
And
don't
that was his
remember
little
him.
noise, and I can hear it clear as day. Like it's been like what, I don't know, 25 years since I played that game, and I can still hear it. It's amazing. I will find a clip because he literally goes.
I love the noises like that. I
Yeah.
love the noises.
That's
Great.
how video game characters used to speak.
Used to speak?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Tearaway in
Tearaway.
Oh,
We were talking about this
fantastic.
the other day, weren't we?
Platformers Hall of
Yeah.
Fame, because my hot take is that Tearaway is on PlayStation Vita the single greatest handheld game of all time.
It's
Yes.
so fantastic.
Yes.
Just from how it uses the platform of the Vita
Yeah.
in a way that means it couldn't have been achievable on anything else. The way you were able to interact with that game and touch it with your fingers. You prod the back of the PS Vita, and your fingers come through into the game world. The way it, it had you making actual paper models of characters within the game.
Yeah.
It was so fantastic, that whole experience. I remember thinking, I've never played anything like this in my life, and I don't think I've ever played anything like it since. Incredible game. So for me, Tearaway goes in my PlayStation Platformers Hall of Fame. Rosie, you look ready.
Are you set?
Sorry if I've been on my phone. I've literally just been like putting together, like trying to do a variety of difficulty as well to ease things in and stuff. But I will just say then my for the Hall of Fame for me is probably like my personal favorite from this series is Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped.
I knew it was
It's
going
got
to be
to be in
Crash.
there.
Because-
Crash Bandicoot has to go in there. We only left him out for you, Rosie.
I left out Spyro as well, mainly. For
Yeah,
you, 'cause
literally, I
wasn't
was
sure
like
which one you were
Spyro
gonna
as
have.
well. But Crash Bandicoot 3 was the first video game I ever played. So for me personally, it will be there. But I do think Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, I think that's the better game. So in terms of like the platformer Hall of Fame, I'm going to say Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. So that's the one I'm going to go for, I think.
Is that how Cortex says it?
It's just
At the
how they
beginning of the
narrate
loading
it.
screen. Yeah, it's a loading
It's like
screen.
how in Crash Bandicoot 3 it goes, Crash Bandicoot Warped.
This is
Like-
something you might not know about me, but I was terrified of Cortex as a kid. We used to go to play in a wacky warehouse, and they had those pods where you could play PlayStation games. And normally there was just one kid who'd been there for about 3 hours hogging it. But one time I decided to play, and I was always fascinated by games from a young age. And I played a little bit of Crash, and I was only like 6, I think, maybe even younger than that, and I died. And then Cortex's big yellow angular face appears on screen, and he's like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." And I ran and cried to my mum and went, I don't ever want to play that game again.
I always thought Cortex was wearing a hat.
And he's not,
But it
it's
turns
just
out
his
it's
forehead.
just his massive, angular, bald head.
Yeah, his geometric
It's not a
noggin.
hat at all.
It's not a hat. Everyone thought this. Everyone thought it was a hat.
Oh,
Man.
man.
Right.
It was Uka Uka who comes up and says game over. How does Uka Uka say game over, Rosie?
He goes, I mean, mainly I know it from the Insane Trilogy, the recent version, but in that he goes, game over.
Yeah, that's
And
what
I think he does something similar to that in the original as well.
Okay, Rosie.
Okay, this is my sound effects quiz.
How many
I'm so
have you
excited for
have you
this.
got?
From the top of my head, just now I've got, hang on, 1, 2,
I'm
3,
so
4, 5,
pumped.
6, 7. I've got 7.
Seven's perfect. You want,
Seven,
you want an
okay.
odd number so it can't be a draw.
Exactly.
Yeah, 7
yes.
ranging from difficulty as well.
Okay.
Alright.
All right.
So I'll go with the easier ones first.
Yep. Oh, well, hang on. We need buzzer noises. What's Rob's buzzer noise?
I think we just say what we think the answer is. I would say.
Oh, okay. All right. I feel like we're gonna. Yep. Okay.
Okay,
I
hang
wanted
on.
to buzz in.
I'm just gonna.
But if you get it, if you shout out and get it wrong, you then got to be frozen out until the next
that's
person's
it.
had
We
a
need
chance
some.
to answer.
Otherwise, it's lawless. We need some rules.
Yeah. Rules control the fun.
We
Control the
need
fun.
rules. Okay. So I'm going to start with this one. Okay. I think this will be a race for the button. So.
Oh God. I actually don't know.
I don't know that one, Rosie.
Someone at home is screaming at this. Can I?
I mean, I've done it a few
Is
times.
it a character?
Yeah. This is from a character.
A character in a game.
Yeah.
God. Oh, I think I know this. Hang on.
This one I'm
I
probably
do
doing
know
like
it.
a really
No,
bad
hang
impression.
On. No, I know it, but it's just not coming to me. Keep doing it, Rosie.
Keep doing it. Keep
Sometimes
dancing,
it's like-
monkey.
Or sometimes it's like a.
Oh, is it Clank?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Clank.
God.
Okay, so we've got Clank.
Okay.
Next one. Okay.
Ape Escape.
Nope.
Oh. This game is the best thing we've ever done. On this channel. It's the best thing. Oh my God.
I don't know this one.
Abe's. Oh, just no. That's not really platforming.
You've had your guess,
Sorry, I'm frozen. I'm sorry.
but I don't know.
I can give you another hint if you'd like.
All right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. No, it's not that.
It sounds like the talking from Kingsley's Adventure to me.
Nope.
No, damn. Damn.
Oh my God. I've no idea.
I think we're going to have to pass on this one, Rosie.
It's Layla. Well, is Laylee, and the
Ukulele.
It's the noises that Yuka and Laylee both make when they're talking, and then Yuka goes like.
Your level of knowledge, Rosie, is so far above mine. I
I've
feel.
never played
But,
ukulele. I feel like I should.
It's a great fun time.
Yeah.
Right, so
Okay.
we've had 2, and it's
Yeah.
1-0 to me currently.
It is. Yeah.
Okay,
Clank.
let's do this one then. Yeah.
Rayman?
Nope.
I'm just saying, just whispering it. Yeah. Do it again.
Ready? Okay, I'll do a bit above the mic so it doesn't peak. Yeah. This is a noise an enemy makes.
Oh, an enemy.
Enemy makes in a game.
Enemy.
An enemy.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't. An enemy. Yeah. Can you give us a hint? The hint was helpful last time.
The enemy makes this noise when they fall.
Oh God. It's not from. I've guessed Rayman. So Rob, get a guess.
I'm just going to say something from Crash Bandicoot.
It is something from Crash
Do you know what?
Bandicoot.
I knew it. And as soon as right.
It's the scientists when you're like, there's some of them that have like you can knock them off loads, but there's some that have got like a thing that goes like, and when they're pushing, and then when you knock them right off the edge of the platform, they go, yeah, like they do
This
a
is
really loud
I didn't
scream.
think it was going to be this intricate.
Rosie's done hard level.
Yeah. I was thinking, Croc, when you went, yes,
See, I haven't done Croc.
Yeah, I thought you were just going to
No,
go
but I
like,
thought it was-
"Chickawaw!"
Yeah.
That's Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah,
Rosie's going
yeah.
for the noise the scientists make when you knock
when they
them
knock
off
them
the
off
edge.
the thing, yeah.
We've got to step up our game here, Amy, I think.
I think
Okay.
we really do.
Right, another one then. Oh God, I've never done this impersonation before, but it's like,
You're going to back yourself, though.
whew.
I believe in you.
Jump and press the circle button.
Jump and press the circle.
Is that a Spyro character?
No.
It does sound like, because also that circle is fire in Spyro, so I'm like, jump and flame. Jump and press the circle button. Can you say it again? Say it again.
Okay, hang on. I've got to get the. That was a terrible voice. I'm so sorry. I'm butchering the brilliant voice. It's like,
this is great.
jump and press the circle button.
Jump and press the circle. It's not like a Rayman game, is it? Like Rayman 2 or 3?
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
No.
God!
You've both guessed.
Yeah, I think,
go on.
you guys
It's
tell us.
Sly Cooper. Bentley says it when everything you have to interact with is with the circle button.
That makes sense.
Okay, next one.
Sparks from Spyro.
She's on it.
There you go. So what's that?
Well
1-0.
done,
1-0.
Amy.
1-0.
She's done
Wait,
it.
no, it's
That was
2-1.
quick.
It's 2-1?
I got the scientist from Crash.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I
You
said, is that
you
from
said
Crash?
Crash Bandicoot. You
I
didn't say
said,
it was a
is that
scientist.
from Crash?
Does he get a point
accept,
for that?
I'll accept is that
Oh,
from Crash.
Okay, fine.
I'll accept is that from Crash.
2-1.
2-1.
Okay.
This is hard as hell, this.
Yeah.
Next one.
Say that again. I just thought you were warming up.
Is this a main character or a
No,
a villain?
it's a side character.
Side character. So this is going to be sort of like video game voice. I'm going to guess Rayman.
Well done. It is Rayman.
I think I know.
It's the level where you find a guy and his like loincloth has been stuck in a tree.
And he goes,
yeah, and he goes, and then when you knock it down,
him.
the rain
Rosie, you're
water
so
comes
good
up.
at this. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Oh,
This-
I can't win now, can I?
Just the
How many
last
more
one
left?
now.
This is the last one now.
Boo.
And this is one I've like misquoted it, but as a child, I believe they always said this, and I think it is what they said. And this is a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
I say. That's like two sound effects combined in one, but as a child, that's always what I remember. So that
I
noise.
say,
It's like I say.
Ape Escape.
No.
Come on, Amy.
Evo's Big Adventure. I
No.
don't even know if that's a Kingsley.
It's not. No. It's a Gex deep cover gecko in the
Never played
Cluedo,
that.
the mystery, like the mansion. There's a murder happening level. There's like a character that when you kill them, they go, "I say," but because everything's in a TV world, you have TV static sound effects as well. So he goes,
Yeah.
"I say," and that's the TV static sound.
Can I do
Wow.
one that I think you might get?
Yeah.
Because I just want to know if it works either way. Na, 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 na.
Spyro, that's the thieves.
The
Yeah,
thief.
I love the thieves and Spyro.
That
Na, na, na,
noise,
na,
na, na, na, na.
it's drilled into my brain as soon as you get into a level and you hear it like softly,
In the back.
far off. Like, where is
Yeah.
that?
He's
thief?
got an egg somewhere, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I know he has.
Well, I'm sorry if I made that hard. I'm quite happy with my quiz
No,
from the
it's
top
good.
of
It
my
was
head.
very
brilliant.
good,
I really,
Rosie.
that was the funniest. I think that was one of the best things we've ever done. I was massively happy with that.
You want it to be difficult. You want it to be difficult.
Oh man.
I mean, I'd happily listen to you doing impressions of game characters.
Well, if
Rob,
we do
can
this
For a
again,
whole
we
hour.
have you do one and we guess, just so it's fair. We've all done one.
Oh well, I've done the only one I can do, which is Crash Bandicoot going. "Chickawa!" That's it. That's all I got. I can do Gollum and I can do Crash Bandicoot
There
doing
you
that.
two.
Doing that.
There you big two.
Yeah.
oh no.
Well, there we go. I mean, it's been quite the week. I'm glad we've ended on this note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it's been-
I'm quite happy with my little quiz at the
And
end.
I-
That was brilliant.
I see this podcast episode as like an encapsulation of the vibrancy and joy that you will get playing Astrobot as well.
Yes, yeah.
So I hope that we have adequately reflected the happiness that you will get playing Astrobot. But Astrobot is out right now on PS5, and if you own a PS5, you have to play it because it's just such an amazing celebration. Not just of platforming, but of PlayStation's history. And it will put a massive grin on your face for the entire duration that you play it. So please do check out all of the videos that we've got on the YouTube channel around Astrobot as well. Rosie has lovingly prepared some. I'm in one as well.
I've just thought of another entry which would have been
Oh,
great
do it
for the
now!
quiz.
Okay,
Do
do
it
it,
now!
do it,
Just
do it.
quickly
You're
do
not
it now to sign off.
You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it.
If I get this one though,
You should just do the noise and we'll say goodbye and that'll be it. And you can comment.
Roast
Yeah.
chicken deluxe.
I don't know what that is.
comment if you know what roast chicken deluxe is.
Roast chicken deluxe.
And we will see you in 2 weeks for another podcast where we will exclusively reveal what that sound effect is from. So don't miss it. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Bye.